8 meetings and over 20 races across this season of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series have brought us to this season finale of Season 3. Our host for this all or nothing race, Long Beach, 2 races to crown our champions for this season. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Jack Canan. Marco Barbner operating the cameras in this absolutely crucial round, Jack. We always love it when we have a close season finale to come up to. It really does raise the stakes a lot, and there couldn't be much more at stake for tonight, because not only is the professional championship close, the amateur championship is close, and it could come down to a handful of seconds, a handful of points.
Yeah, it absolutely could, and it was all as a result of last week's few incidents involving the other cars. Conor Bell managing to do a double win last week, which took him back into contention as well, and really tricky stuff. Here is the standings as they stand coming into this race. It is Marteau with the advantage, but it's not much at all, is it? It's 5 points back to Paulo Dreita. And Conor Bell is there. He's got an outside chance of this. He's still very much in the fight. He's 16 points off of the championship lead. But that, of course, is simply one race. Barely one race. It is. And the AM Championship, Florian Beer taking the lead from Aaron Smith, of course, and the gap now lies at 10 points. But you can see Boberg, with his great round last week, brings himself into the title fight by getting himself 17 points off of the championship lead. So there is a three-way fight for the championship, essentially, in both championships. But Marteau, he obviously had a few bad rounds. He's had 2 solid rounds and now takes a 5-point advantage over Paulo Dreita into this round. And Conor Bell with his double win, if he hadn't taken that double win, he would not be in contention. It's a very outside chance. He does need to win both races, but we've seen stranger things happen.
Definitely, and I mean, if you're going to have a bad finish at any rounds of the championship, this is probably going to be it, because the walls are so close around this Long Beach circuit that just a tiny mistake can end up in the wall and could severely compromise your finishing result. And of course, the finishing result for race 1 deciding the grid order for race 2, so really important every lap of the 2 events decide who's going to win the championship. And of course, a crucial qualifying as well. Overtaking will be possible. You know, it's quite an expansive street circuit compared to some of the others we have on the iRacing service, but the top guys throughout the season have been so evenly matched that grid position has proven to be very useful. And after the first few laps, it's Marteau leading Bell, Redford and Dreita in 4th position. And unfortunately, Jack, I don't think Will Redford really has a realistic chance tonight. Unfortunately, he missed the last round of the championship, otherwise he would have been right in the mix. He's a bit of a wild card here. We know that he can beat those other 3 championship contenders. I mean, the 4 of them are so evenly matched. Will could really be quite a pain for the other drivers tonight who are going for that title.
Yeah, he absolutely could. He's taken a win before, remember, so he's got a win under his belt, and he certainly can challenge these guys as they come across the line. He goes 3rd. It's less than a 10th between the top 3. Really short lap around here. Chris Rosenkrantz is the fastest AM driver. Of course, not a lot of cars here today, but that should mean that we get some really close action the whole way through. But Marteau takes the advantage so far. Conor Bell, you know, he's going to be thinking, he knows he's got a chance. He knows that. We were talking to him last week, that he knows that everything is almost kind of stacked against him, but he's absolutely going to go for it tonight. And Dreita needs to get himself up the order. 13.6 for Marteau, a brilliant lap for him. 13.8 for Bell, and he goes into 2nd place with a 10th advantage. Goes to Marteau at the moment. Redford is 3rd. We're going to wait to see if there's any improvements from those with Paulo Dreita. That's the man who needs to improve. He comes across the line to set a 13.899, and it's not enough to get himself on the front row as he comes across the start finish line. Chris Rosenkrantz comes across the line. He goes up ahead of Will Redford. Great effort from the AM driver, but let's see if Redford can improve. I'm sure he's got more speed in that car. If he can just nip a 10th, he'll keep himself in the fight with the pro guys. Here he comes in the 142 car to maybe become the wild card tonight, and he comes across the start finish line to set a 114.142. It's not enough to get himself any further up the order, and that, of course, I think should be the final laps set. So Marteau has got himself a crucial pole position, and Dreta has the second row, with Chris Rosenkrantz sharing it with him. So thankfully for our championship leaders, in their minds, Will Redford is actually further back than they would have normally expected. But Marteau would track position, but Dreta will be right behind him going in towards turn 1. So pole position isn't everything, and we know Marteau, his weak point is the starts.
Yeah, he had an absolute mare at Monza, didn't he, where really could not get the thing off the line. Cannot afford that round this place, as Gibbons just puts in a lap time. Crucially goes ahead of Florian Beer, so Smith has now got a car between himself and Beer. Seems as though we're not going to see a lap time come in from Richard Boberg, who of course is a contender. I believe Boberg may have a pit lane start. I'm going to check if that's the case, but he's certainly not setting a lap time out there, so he's not going to be a rival. We've also got, in fact, here is Boberg, apologies, so he is on a lap. This might even be an out lap. I'm not 100% sure. But also Ruggenbach is still on track. Ruggenbach actually coming to the end of his lap, and Florian Beer has still got one more lap as well, so this is his last time, so Beer needs to try to get there, up there if possible. And the final few corners, super tight hairpin. It's actually a bit easier in this Formula 3 car than it is in pretty much every other car on the iRacing service, but it's still full lock, and getting down to probably 30 miles an hour or so. Here is Beer. Can he at least get ahead of Gibbons? Yes, and he does get ahead of Smith as well. He's up into 6th position, so that is a monumental performance there from Florian Beer. Gibbons, I believe, has done all of his laps already, and so unless Boberg can pull off a bit of a surprise on his one and only lap, it should be Beer top of the championship contenders in the Amateur Championship.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he needs to do. He goes a tenth and a bit up on Smith, but gets himself an extra car in front for the battle. Chris Rosenkrantz kind of way out in front in comparison to those guys, which is impressive from the German. We're just waiting for Joseph Gibbons now. He has finished his laps, but he's the only car out on the circuit now as we tick over 10 seconds to go till qualifying ends. So he's just going to be just getting his eye in, I suppose, for the start right there as he gets very close to that left-hand side wall. I think we're going to see some cars in that tonight. But here we go then. We're going to flick over to the grid in just a moment's time. Of course, heat race followed by warm-up and feature. But here is the grid for race 1. Marteau on pole with Connor Bell next to him. Connor has got to win this race to keep himself in it. Paulo Dreta as well. He needs to keep himself in shouting distance of Marteau. Chris Rosenkrantz in 4th as well. Great effort. And he, of course, leading the AM categories. Will Redford and Florian Beer, the championship leader in the AM category. He starts in P6. Chuck Morrow and Aaron Smith, who is fighting Florian Beer for that title, right behind them in P8. Joseph Gibbons and Justin Negrete. Then Jack Reeve and Mark Redford in 11th. Then we have Alexander Roggenbuch and Richard Boberg, who did not end up setting a lap time and may have hampered his own chances at the championship there. But maybe he's already thinking about that carnage in turn number 1, because T1 at Long Beach, it's tight, it's very narrow, and we've seen many accidents and possibly somebody going down that escape road on the right-hand side. We're going to have to wait to see happens there, but it is going to be now all up to Marteau. He's got to get the start right tonight. Connor Bell, he knows what he needs to do. He's got to finish in front. Dreta ideally needs to finish in front of Marteau in this race to kind of settle it up for the feature and get himself some track position to start ahead of Marteau. But Marteau, also, he knows what he needs to do, and he's got to win this race or finish in front of Dreta at the very least to keep himself in. And none of these guys can afford a DNF, because a DNF would essentially end their chance at this. Connor Bell, the last man, had to ready up, as well as Richard Boberg, just waiting for those 20 seconds before they have to get themselves on the grid. Otherwise, there'll be a non-starter. Here comes Connor Bell popping onto the grid, Boberg as well, and we should be ready to go in just a few seconds time. There are the lights coming on in front of the drivers. It's race 1, a crucial one in the championship. Marteau and Bell on the front row. And we are away, and again Martel gets a great start. Bell shuts the door on Drayton as they come away from the line. Now it's going to be the slipstream available to Connor Bell. Drayton trying to find the inside already as they head down towards turn 1. Martel shuts the door as they head towards the first corner for the first time, and Martel has the track position and Connor Bell cannot do anything. Martel leads through turn 1. Bell into second. Redford pops in front of Drayton in the back in the roundabout section. Oh, into the wall goes Redford, and is Drayton in? No, he's not. He's managed to avoid it, but there's a big stack up. And Florian Beer is in that. Florian Beer, the championship leader in the AM category, is in that crash in the roundabout. And crucially, Aaron Smith is through up to 4th. So Aaron Smith is back in with this now. But Florian Beer caught up in an early accident. Marteau with the track position. Drayton caught up in that little spat as well. And Marteau, that's exactly what he needed right there.
Yeah, that was excellent defence from Marteau down into turn 1. That was absolutely huge. So Drayton certainly got held up there. Did he pick up any damage? If he did, that might well be the end of his championship hopes. There was Redford storming around the outside as an excellent start point. Bit of netcode, I think. And then, oh, well, it's actually a totally unrelated incident just behind, wasn't it? Involving Beer and co. Let's see, we might get a replay of what happened to him. But Beer is still going. He's in 11th place. But Smith scoring all those points up in 4th. This could change the championship. I mean, if race 1 ends like this, I believe Smith would go into race 2 with a slight lead. It was from the rear view of Beer, seemingly maybe getting a hit from behind from the 244, and the 244 was Chuck Marrow there, and well, that might be decisive for the championship.
A very, very decisive moment right there, but Marteau saw absolutely none of it. Morrow, they're all in pit lane now, so Bear has picked up damage. He's going to come in, take the fast repair and come out again. He may as well do that, but oh, Marteau get very close to that outside wall there. Conor Bell is keeping himself in this now by keeping in the slipstream, and Drayton is down in 5th place now, so this would give Marteau a big amount of breathing space in the title race. As you can see there, here's the most positions again. How about Ricard Boberg started last? I think I was sidekicked there. He already knew what was going to happen in turn 1. Backed off up to P7. So Boberg, don't forget, is in this title race as well in the AM category. He's 17 points off the lead, but still not without a chance as Bell sets the fastest lap of the race. Drayton dispatches Smith in the background. Has he managed to get through? Negrete dives into pit lane. He's also got front end damage on the front end of that car.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a very odd shape for the front wing. Very curved. There goes Boberg to 6th now. Well, this is getting interesting. The top 3 in the Amateur Championship would all be fairly close to one another. I think within 10 points of one another going into race 2. If it ended like this, so excellent performance from Boberg. I'm not sure if it was deliberate from him, because we saw him try to go for that lap at the end of the session. He missed out by on completing a lap by must have been about 15-20 seconds, and we're going to see how he managed to get through it. Let's see how cautious he was actually down into turn 1. This will give us an insight into kind of what his mindset was. Certainly a fairly good launch, and then just very heads up driving, can look ahead, don't need to worry about what's going on behind.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, and very measured approach from the Swedish driver. Gets himself through, and only thinking about the title race, I think, there in through the first couple of corners. Sees what happens in front of him, takes it very easy through the roundabout section and carries on his day, and he's now up in P6 behind Aaron Smith. So that would mean, of course, he finishes 2nd in class, which would be a good haul of points for him, and may put him in front of, oh, that is the Negrete, and that's the turn 1 escape road that he's gone down there, and I have a very large inkling of what he's just done as he comes out of the pit lane. I think it's going to be a straight up lock up. Here we go into the first corner, and no brakes at all. Goes down the escape road. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, Sam, honestly.
I've got a new fondness of escape roads this week because Redford's going a bit slow. There goes Mary. Chicago Street Course doesn't have runoff areas, and the few that there are, I use the most of them. safe to say Marco Valvano is laughing his head off in the production at the moment. Yeah, made very much a beeline for them. But no, around Chicago, if you outbreak yourself, you're in the wall. Around this place, you got loads of time. You can just go down the escape road, do a nice 180, lose 8 seconds, and be back on your way. So the drivers should be very thankful of that, because I think it will reduce the attrition rate a bit. It's still pretty narrow though, this place, as Roggenbuck has gone into the wall, and that's going to really help Beer if Roggenbuck needs a pit stop. But I think somehow he hasn't gone down the escape road here, Roggenbuck, but he's avoided the wall one way or another. Here we go. Is it going to be oversteer? Oh well, there's already a guy in the way, isn't there? There's the 266 machine of Justin Negretti, who's already used his parts prepare, so that's the end of race 1 for him. And I think Roggenbuck a bit put off by the yellow flags, and then the car suddenly stranded right in front of him on track.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. It did very, very well to get the car stopped. I'll give him some props for that, the Negretti. Manages to get away. Oh, Marceau was very close to that wall on the way out. That would have cost him a few tenths. To Bell, as we cut back to live pictures, you just saw him. I think he went a little bit deep into the hairpin and had to kind of sort of panic steer out of the wall. You can see Bell with the fastest lap of the race on that time by 14.0 against 3:10, and that was simply because of Marceau's error. You can see Drata is on the same pace, but is not with them, and he needs to be up here. So there's still plenty of time left in this race, though, so anything can still happen with these two. They're not letting each other go. Bell's sort of thinking, I wonder what he's thinking right now. He knows he needs to win this, but Marceau, you know, very controlled. He nailed the start, he defended brilliantly, and I think he's going to be very, very difficult to pass in this of the race. We'll have to wait and see what happens here, but Marceau, in this current way, has one hand on the title, but there's still another race to come, of course, and that could totally change everything. So he'd get things off to a good start if he finished where he is right now, but give him crucially some track position for race number 2. Drata will be down in 4th, but there's not lost in Drata's eyes. Neither is it in Connor Bell's eyes, really, because he's the only man who's able to stick with Marceau at the moment. Just see the lap times now. Marceau 13.9, Bell 14.0, so they're very evenly matched, and they're just siding away from the rest of the field. Drata's on a 14.0 as well, and he's catching Rosenkrantz at a rate of half a second a lap. So Drata can still get himself 3rd here if he keeps pushing on. He's got to find about 3 and a bit seconds to Rosenkrantz, but I think that's got to be his aim now. Get up to 3rd. It's the best he can maybe do if there isn't an incident, and at least get himself starting 3rd for the next race, and see what happens from there, I guess.
Yeah, he needs the points if he possibly can. The point scoring system, by the way, of course, is for the overall points. It's not for your class position. So the likes of Smith and Boberg and Beer will be trying to beat as many of the pros as they possibly can. Of course, the pros need to beat the AMs as well. Drayton needs to beat Rosenkrantz. And the point scoring system is 70-63, so 7 points between 1st and 2nd. Then it goes down to 58, so that's another 5 points, and then it goes back to 54. So Drayton just passing Rosenkrantz, that's an extra 4 points. It's a very steep scoring system we have in this series, and in all of the Apex Racing League series. Very much rewards the top positions. It's not just about kind of top 10s. You need to be getting a lot of podiums under your belt and really race wins as well. So that point scoring system has given the opportunity for Bell to make up some points tonight. He needed to win both races, and Marceau to finish in 2nd and 3rd. I think that would win Bell the championship, I believe. But at the moment, it's Marceau who's just going to be able to extend that lead, and Bell is really not able to do anything at the moment. But yeah, Drata has to beat Rosenkrantz, you'd think, if he's going to have a realistic chance come race 2. And then the difference at the moment between points between Smith and Beer would be 5th versus 10th, so that'd be 51 points versus 41 points. So a 10-point swing, and the gap between them in the championship is currently 10 points. So the two of them, Beer and Smith, would go into the final race totally level on points, which would be a pretty cool situation. I believe there is one bonus point. There's going to be one bonus point for the fastest for the clean race, but no, it's going to be close to it.
Yeah, it certainly is, and have a look at that. Bell and Drayton exactly the same time, so they're pushing on. Technically speaking, Bell would get that fast lap because he set it first, but Drayton, you can see he's pushing on now. He knows he needs to catch up to at least get Rosenkrantz. He's got 10 minutes to do that and get up to the back of him, and you can kind of see him now. He's reeling him in really fast, and the Brazilian is on the charge. And but yeah, if the AM class championship were to stay exactly the way it was, of course, yeah, he would go into the last round tied on points, and certainly an interesting one to see the end of that, because well, you'd also have Boberg slightly closing up as well in the points as well, and which would be really, really good to see. But we're going to have our eyes focused on this one for now. As it stands, Marteau would extend the gap, but Connor Bell could make it interesting by finishing in front of Marteau, because that would keep him in the championship fight. And you can see fastest lap again for Connor Bell. That's Rocketbook around in the roundabout section. Looks like he's also managed to get that stopped without any damage, so he's becoming an expert at that right now. Is Alexander Rocketbook. So here he comes towards turn 1. All looks fine so far. Turns it in. And what happens here then? Turns it into the roundabout, and very lazy spin, and does manage to get back going again. No worries at all. So he's had some little spins around, but crucial thing, because you see he was about 10 seconds in front of Florian Beer. Now it's only 2 seconds, and that extra position for Florian Beer would mean he would still lead the championship into the last race of tonight.
Yes, I think that would just be the yeah, that would be the swing. Rocketbook's really been struggling, hasn't he? I mean, considering how strong he's been over the last few rounds, he's just fallen back a bit in this race 1. By the way, I think the points I was quoting maybe was slightly wrong, so I don't think it's going to be quite as steep maybe as it was. So I think Beer should have an advantage anyway, but it's going to be 3 or 4 points. I mean, as he has got past them, so Beer is past Roggenbach, and that is crucial, and it's particularly close now for the race lead, down to 4 tenths of a second as Bell's just disappeared. Now I've got bad flashbacks to a couple of nights ago, or last night, sorry, when we saw Kane Halliburton disconnect, and I am fearing the worst right now for Bell.
Oh,
and is
no.
that it? No, has he crashed? That was a disconnect, I think I saw.
He's crashed. He's crashed. No, that car has been towed back to pit lane. Oh, hell's going on there?
Yeah, seemingly like a hardware failure. I mean, he wouldn't crash down a straight normally, so that's the championship over for Connor Bell. What a disappointment, and just as well as he was getting so close to Marteau.
Of all the things to happen, that's the least I expected, and if that's a hardware failure for Connor Bell, that's the worst way to go out in this race. Oh wow. Right, let's see what's going on here. Has he literally just turned left down the straight into the wall? And yeah, that's not. Connor Bell did not do that deliberately. I would hope. Turning left into the wall. This is so strange. I've never seen anything like that. He comes through the straight, all is fine, and then he's on his way down towards turn 1. And let's have a look. It was a previous lap, yeah, indeed. Now we'll see. This should be the correct time. And comes around the right-hander and then just veers into the wall. Now I would wager. Well, I would wager that would be is a hardware failure. That's got to be a hardware failure. What's going on there? And it would be. It's a hard one to actually see, because we're not exactly sure it happened from Connor Bell's perspective, but it doesn't matter because now he's out of the title fight. It's all up to Drayton now, and it becomes a thing that Drayton now absolutely has got to pass Rosenkrantz now.
Yeah, well, he's got a free position. And, well, yeah, it's a bit of a lifeline for him. Second place wouldn't be so bad all of a sudden as Vogelbach's had to come back to the pits. Has he already used his fast repair though, Vogelbach? I'm not quite sure, but hopefully he'll be able to get back out there. Fastest lap, look at that, 13.5. That is a couple of tenths faster than really anything else we've seen tonight. Make sure that you get past the back marker. Yep, there's no problem there. And if he keeps this up, well, it's going to be close, isn't he? He's not necessarily going to catch in time. He's consistently got half a second a lap, and he's 2 seconds behind. So if he's going to do it, it's going to have to be on the last lap. As here is Bell getting back on the circuit. Really good resilience from him, but the damage has been done.
Championship is over, and we have just heard as well that it was indeed a hardware problem. The worst ones of all, green blackouts is what has gone on for Connor Bell. Screen went blank and couldn't see where he was going, smashed into the wall, and that was it. So a very cruel way for Connor Bell to go out of this championship, but yeah, I think he'll still fight on and see what he can do from there. But that's a real shame for the Canadian, because he was really challenging Marteau there and was getting very close to him, but it's not to be. So it's now simply a case of Marteau versus Drayton for the title. Marteau will extend his lead, but the question is, by how much will he extend it? So let's have a look. Drayton 0.3 of a game that time, so not as much, but the gap is now 1.5 seconds up to Rosenkrantz, and he needs to keep that up, or he needs to actually catch him a bit faster than he's doing right now. He needs to do a 13, keep it in the 13s. Any chance of Bell's back in the pit lane again, so it's getting worse. Bell, and he's on his way into the pit lane now, and I wonder, is that to retire the car, or maybe he's picked up some kind of penalty or something from maybe speeding or something in the pit lane? But that's a bad way to go out, especially considering that this was his kind of chance. He is stopping the car in his pit box to just anyway. It's a hard one for him to take, I'd reckon, but nonetheless, he's driven very well. Jack Reeve and Gibbons, they're fighting for third in class in the AMP category. I've noticed Boberg has kind of got himself a little bit close to Aaron Smith, and that gap is just over a second between those two, so that could be an interesting little swing in these last few minutes, as we're just going to see these times now. And Drayton, yeah, much faster than Rosenkrantz at the time. He's now brought the gap down to a second. It is going to be very close, so he may have another 2-3 laps to do it, but catching up to him is one thing. He's going to have to try and pass him next.
Yeah, and he's gonna have one lap to pass him seemingly. Maybe a lap and a half if he's lucky. It's going to be just one more lap to go after this, isn't it? It's a pretty short lap. This only 1 minute 14 seconds. In fact, it might be close. Could be close. Whether we get 1 or 2 more laps, and that could make a big difference in the championship. Givens swerving left and right. Reeves made a slight mistake down into turn 1. There's nowhere for Givens to go total single file here, and he does pick up a bit of understeer as they head through the roundabout, so maybe that's his best chance. Gone. Beer's a long way behind these guys, but if they do hit a wall, it would promote Beer up a place. I believe, apologies that I was quoting the wrong point system earlier on. It's basically half of what I was quoting, so it should still be Beer with a 5-point advantage, but with Smith, I believe, having a completely clean race so far, as is very possible here at Long Beach. I think the gap would be 4 points, but of course this Beer could get past Givens if Givens does crash, and that would move it up to 5 points. As here is Rosenkrantz, so I believe Marteau did cross the line in time, so we are going to have another lap after this one. Otherwise, I didn't think Jota would pass, so no, that's probably another lifeline for Jota here. He's 0.6 of a second behind with 1.5 laps to go. Yeah,
we'll have to wait to see, as the timer is going to be very, very, very close as to whether we get another lap in, but Drayton either way is not close enough to go for an overtake on Rosenkrantz. And now keep in mind that Marteau is the man who controls whether we get another lap or not, as Drayton grazes the wall through the right-hander. He's definitely in the draft now, which is what he needs, and I reckon it's going to be a couple of seconds in the sparing, but Marteau will get us across the line for another lap, I think. It's a long run to the line, but he should get across the line with about 10 a second start. There's the white flag. So this lap is the last lap. So Drayton's got to do it now. He's got to do it on this lap. It's all or nothing for second place now. Rosenkrantz Drayton, because he knows he's got to get that position. He actually does a personal best in that time. He gets in the 13s on that lap. So having Drayton behind him has pushed him on. Get right up on him now into the middle sector. Where does he go for it? He has to go for it. He's got to get past to get himself that front row and the extra points, which will minimize Marteau's gain in the championship. Through the right he goes. Rosenkrantz doing an excellent job. He's an AM driver running in second overall, and Drayton is the man second in the championship by a margin of 5 points going into this race. And now we're going to wait to see whether he can do it. I don't think he's close enough, honestly. He's got to get a mega exit through this right-hander, and let's see now if he's going to be able to do it. I don't think so. Is he close enough? Maybe not. It's going to be just too short as far as I can see, and it's going to be one of those cases of one more lap and he would have done it, but unfortunately there isn't another one. And Marteau has done everything he needs to do. He'll come across the line to win race 1. Drayton's got to do it here if he's going to do it at all, and he doesn't go for it. He's sensible enough. Marteau wins race 1 and extends the championship lead. And Rosenkrantz will win the AM category, gets second overall. Drayton is third, and that will extend the gap for Marteau. As we now look at the rest of the field, we're going to have Aaron Smith, who's going to win the AM class, and that is a big one for so second in the AM class. He's going to win the battle between himself and Beer and Boberg, which is a big moment for those guys, because remember, they're fighting for the title, and Florian Beer will still hold on to the lead, but the gap will be less going into this round. So Beer, I think he can count his lucky stars that he's still in the running, getting caught up in that lap 1 instant. He can't afford to have it next time. Bell is classified as out, Sam, which means no points, championship over.
Yep, that is absolutely it for Conor Bell. He might still be able to finish in third place ahead of Redford, perhaps, but well, even Redford, I don't think scores points, does he? Because he was more than 1 lap down. So, not a good day for either of them, honestly. And yeah, what a shame for Bell. He really did nothing wrong there. So I believe, and these are approximate calculations, but I believe going into the last round, Boberg's got a very small chance now at winning the amateur category. I believe Beer should have a 4 or 5 point advantage over Smith. I'm not sure who got the bonus points. But so yeah, I'll double check on that one in a second, and then yeah, should be about 9 points, I believe, in the or even more than that in the Pro Championship. Anyway, here are the results. Marteau ahead of Rosenkrantz. Well, result for Rosenkrantz, mid-season entry, of course, and he has really improved quite significantly. Was faster in the first place, but has built on that, and that is by far his best result of the season. Paolo Drayton finishes in third place. There was Aaron Smith, Ricard Boberg, Jack Reeve, Joseph Givens, Florian Beer, Chuck Marrow, Alexander Roggenbuck, Mark Redford, Justin Negretti, and of course Conor Bell and Will Redford. Neither of them scoring points, which is a huge shame for their hopes of finishing in the top 3 in the championship. We are going to show you a trailer now for one of the sponsors for this series and for this broadcast, a virtual racing school. Big thanks for them for helping us out on Apex Racing TV. So we'll be back with you for the final race of the season in just a moment.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyse and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyse and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the season finale in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series. You just saw a trailer from Virtual Racing School. Big thanks to them for supporting this series throughout the championship. We do really do appreciate their support. Jack, it was a pretty action-packed race 1. Wasn't super close out in the lead in the end, albeit of course we had that titanic battle for second place between Rosenkrantz and Paolo Dreiter. Going into this final race, we believe Marte pretty much just has to finish. He's got approximately 15 points clear, and so even if Dreiter won, by my mathematics, Marte would need about 6th position in order to clinch the championship. So as long as he keeps it out the walls, Marteau should be our champion for this season.
Yeah, that's the simple way of looking at it. He just needs to not bin it in the wall or be the victim of another accident. So the line here, you know, Dreiter needs to win. That's the simple fact of it. Is Marteau is ahead of him, it's over. If Dreiter's ahead of him and he's higher than 6th, it's done. So unfortunately now, for the last time, it is time to grid up and have a look at who is lining up for the feature race here on Apex Racing TV. It's Marteau on pole with Chris Rosenkrantz in 2nd. Paolo Dreiter is 3rd. Aaron Smith and Richard Boberg, Jack Reeve, Joseph Gibbons, Florian Beer, Chuck Maurer, Alexander Ruggenbuck, Mark Redford, Justin Negrete. And then down the back, it'll be the 2 guys who unfortunately are not part of the title fight anymore. It'll be Connor Bell and Will Redford. But we did mention the AM category championship. That is close. That is 5 points, we believe. Of course, give or take a bonus point or 2 in favour of Florian Beer going into this round. But crucially, Aaron Smith has got track position and is about 4 places in front of Florian Beer. So I think if we were to finish like that, Smith might just clinch it. So that's going to be a tight one to look at. As here we go for the last time this season here at Long Beach. Can Marteau do it? Can Dreiter stop him? We are away and racing at Long Beach for the last time. Marteau gets a brilliant start. Dreiter also gets a great one as they head towards turn 1. Aaron Smith with a brilliant start as well. He pulls up alongside Boberg. Looking up his inside, 3 wide we go. Down towards the first corner and it'll all settle in now. Boberg trying to go around the outside of the car. Oh, there's a couple of cars there involved in an incident in the inside of the first corner. And I couldn't quite see who that was. It was both Redfords managed to make it through. Just a little bit of tangling going on, but they all managed to come out. Bell did not take the start, and they carry on. Marteau got the start. Rosenkrantz and Boberg, crucially Boberg, up to 3rd in front of Dreiter. So Dreiter's not had a good start. He's been eaten up by a few guys there. And Aaron Smith, unfortunately for him, his advantage is gone because Florian Beer is up alongside him now.
Yeah, super close between the two of them, and Smith needs to get a couple of cars now between himself and Beer if he possibly can. Negretti also just getting past Roggenbach, but I was surprised how cautious Drayton seemed to be on the brakes down into turn 1. He has to win this race to have a realistic chance. He's got to beat Marte, and yet he wasn't. He was kind of looking behind him, or maybe just a bit cautious on the brakes there as Roggenbach is dropping down the order down into 10th position. There goes an impressive move. It's 3 wide. And there's nowhere for Gibbons to go just behind. How much damage does Will Redford have after that one? Well, they're all coming into the pits, picking up their faster pair early, which is not what you want to do with 28.5 minutes to go. As Boberg's into the wall. He's into the wall and into the back of him.
Smith's in him.
Well, Smith. And out.
And I think Beer was in it too. I think Beer got caught up in it too, but I think he's managed to carry on. He's got no front wing. The AM category's just turned on its bloody head all of a sudden, and Beer has managed to carry on without having to tow. So that's a big one. Smith's had let's have a look at that again. So everybody who's involved in the championship fight in the AM category has just crashed into each other. So Boberg goes into the wall in turn 1 and bounces across in front of Aaron Smith, and Florian Beer just about manages to get it stopped where he can get going again. Mark Redford very caught up in it, but all 3 contenders have just crashed into each other. But crucially, Florian Beer has carried on. He won't have the tow back time, so they won't have the extra bit of tow, and he'll be able to hopefully take a fast break, get back going again. If that's the case, he's just won the title because of that crash.
Yeah, well, I'm really disappointed with that, because I think Smith maybe could have challenged. Certainly 1 or 2 cars just ahead, and Beer would have done a good job at staying anywhere near him. But here he comes into the pit, so this will be the faster pair used for Beer, so it's not necessarily a good thing for him, because it does put a lot of pressure on him to not make mistakes at the end of the race, as long as, of course, Smith chooses to re-enter the event. Only Boberg was able to get through, albeit, of course, Boberg was the starter of all of it. Maybe going with the cold tyres, and there goes Beer, and ahead, crucially, of his rivals. And so Florian Beer just needs to lap round here for the final race of the season, and he will be the champion. But he cannot afford to crash. If he crashes, then that will be no points for him.
Yeah, that's the simple fact of it. Aaron Smith and Richard Boberg, hopefully they get back out on the circuit, because their chance, while slim, is still very much there. And, well, all of a sudden, things have just changed massively, or not changed in some ways with that crash, as Smith's on his way out now, and Marteau puts a lap on him right there. Drayton with the fastest lap in P3. Boberg's on his way out as well. So these guys will go 1 lap down in relation to everybody else, and we'll have to see what goes on here. But now, Drayton, he's I'm not sure what's going on this week, but not quite on it this week, and Rosenkrantz is kind of really doing an excellent job running with these guys, and well, he shouldn't really be where he is in second place, but he's managing the pace. He's matching the pace of Drayton. He's not obviously keeping up with Marceau, but Marceau's rapid tonight. He's putting on the display that he needs to do, and stays exactly like that. He is the champion without question, and Drayton has got to hope that Marceau makes a mistake and puts it in the wall, because that's the only way that he is going to win this. Even if he does get past Rosenkrantz here, it still won't be enough. He's got to finish in front of Marceau, and Marceau needs to be lower than 6th place in this one, and he needs to DNF ideally for him. But while he's setting fastest lap after fastest lap, as you can see there, well, Drayton is going a little bit faster, but it's not really that useful when he's stuck behind another car. And Rosenkrantz was the man who was stopping him last time, and he's the man stopping him this time again. He wasn't able to do it this last time. He's a lot closer this race, but it seems to be that Long Beach is just incredibly difficult to follow another car and make an overtake.
Yeah, and yeah, he's got within about 7/10. He seemed to stall a little bit at the end of the last race as well. He set one of his worst laps of the race on the penultimate lap, maybe just because of that turbulent air quite a few kind of medium speed corners around this circuit. It's odd for a street circuit to have quite so many kind of long radius corners, but Long Beach is unique as a street course. I think Tracer should still have the advantage though to eventually get past. Just how much time will he lose while sat behind Rosenkrantz? We'll see what his lap times are compared to Marteau this time round. He did a 14.2 on the previous lap, did Tracer. He was matched by Marteau. Marteau goes even faster this time round. And to be fair to Tracer, that was an excellent lap time. Look at that lap time as well from Rosenkrantz. So Rosenkrantz really does have the pace of these drivers. That's definitely his best lap of the evening. Just needs maybe that consistency. He has been consistent, to be fair, but that lap was absolutely astonishing. Pretty sure faster than his qualifying lap even. And well, if he keeps producing that level of driving, then this will be tricky for the Brazilian.
Yeah, it seems to be that Rosenkrantz has really put the effort in this week and is making life difficult for the Brazilian behind him. He's going to try and get past him as quickly as he can, but I don't know if Drake's actually going to be able to even pull away from Rosenkrantz. They're just so evenly matched at this stage. Drake getting in the draft again, but is not able to even get up alongside Rosenkrantz into the braking zone for the right. A big cut from Rosenkrantz there. Drake is going to take a wide line here and try and get up underneath him. Can't quite do it. Going to carry the speed. Look to the inside. Very close. He locks up. Rosenkrantz saw him coming and went wide. And Drake actually ends up capitalizing and going through past Rosenkrantz. So he did make a mistake. Rosenkrantz saw it coming, opened the steering, which ended up in Drake going through. But I don't think it's going to be quite over. Drake has got to go defensive here, down towards the first corner, but eventually makes it through into second place. And let's have a look at that again. A bit of an unusual one in that regard, but it's an interesting move that kind of paid off for him in the end. So good job for him. And just now, have a quick look at Boberg. I think he's had a pretty terrible day as it stands, and it's yeah, it's getting a bit worse, isn't it, for Richard Boberg in that regard? But yeah, that's a great move from Drayta. He forced the error, and well, he made an error which forced another error which made his way through.
Yeah, it seemed as though Rosenkrantz saw him coming, as you say. I'm not sure if it was the lockup necessarily, or whether it was kind of the look to the inside. You'll see Drayta drove it in super deep through this left-hander. So satisfying when you can pull it off. And yeah, I think it was even before the lockup that Rosenkrantz was opening up the steering, basically letting Drayta go, anticipating that he'd have to turn out. But Drayta's fast, and to be fair, I think that was coming. Drayta was catching fairly quickly, or at least on most laps. So he's now got 4.2 seconds to catch up to Marteau. And that last lap, he was actually 0.2 faster, was Drayta. An excellent lap time into the 13s now, 13.7 on that last tour. But only 0.2 of a second. He needs really more like 0.4 of a second if he's going to catch in time. As we see this battle renewed, Vive versus Givens. It was Vive who was slower on that last lap. It's very much the momentum going towards Givens at the moment. They were very close to one another a lap or two ago. Quite the exit, big concertina effect through that hairpin. Of course, the driver ahead of you always gets on the power that bit earlier. He drives away, increases the distance, and it's really only in the second half of the straight where, at least in terms of meters, that you can start gaining. And there goes a big lunge from Givens, and he is past. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it stopped there, honestly, but he did. Must have had a lot of confidence in himself, and he's past Reeve, and maybe can start to put a bit of pressure on Florian Beer further up.
Yeah, that was an excellent move from Givens. I also didn't think he was going to make the corner, but he certainly did. Proved us all wrong. As coming across the line, and there's Mark Redford. He's chasing up to Chamorro. That's just for a podium in class. So let's see. Now, the father leading the son. Will is down in 7th place. Of course, that is due to the earlier incidents, but even so, I think he'll be satisfied that he is in front of him fighting for a podium here. Will Redford actually has the fastest lap as soon as I mentioned him. There, 13.74 as a graze of the wall from Mari. Saw the sparks flying there as he just grazed along the barrier. And thankfully it doesn't cause any damage to the car. Bit of a small lock up there, and you can see that Mark is definitely getting closer to him through each corner. Getting a little bit wider, and Mauro grazes the wall again through the right. So he seems to be kind of struggling with getting the car turned in enough to avoid grazing that wall. But Mark is certainly honest here through the middle sector. Rear steps out a little bit on the way through the corner. Down into the hairpin. Really slow corner this one. And on the part again, Mauro touches the wall through that section. So he's really pushing the limits here. And is obviously still making it work. Here comes the slipstream now. Look at that massive run for Redford here down towards the first corner. Mauro's going to get the defensive line. Here comes Mark around the outside into turn one. Can he get it stopped around the outside? No. Mauro defends that very nicely. I've found the issue for Mauro. That seems to be front wing damage.
Yeah, well, that would make sense. There you go. Yeah, half of it's very wrongly shaped, and so he's attempting to back down the straights. That was as though Redford had DRS there, honestly, because they gained a lot of time. He just knows that he needs to be fairly close coming out of the hairpin, and he should have a good chance, even coming out of this one. In fact, he could have an advantage. Here we go then. So he just needs to try to get alongside Mauro, leaving the door open, cannot get across to cover the inside line, and Redford with probably 5 kilometers or so better down the straight moves into 5th place. Would be his best result of the season, I believe. Just needs to make sure he doesn't get rear-ended now into the hairpin, but very much a haven once he gets onto the straight, because yeah, with that lack of damage, he'll be able to pull away. There's Aaron Smith, probably going to unlap himself against these drivers. Of course, he's very much entitled to do that, and totally should do that, because that will be the benefit for his race. He is going for the championship, yeah, just very much disappointing. He'd be wanting to be, you know, well ahead of these drivers, not trying to unlap himself against them.
Yeah, just a really unlucky situation for Aaron, getting caught up with Boberg earlier on, and even Florian Birgit got caught up in it, but managed to just get it slowed and stopped enough to bring the car around and serve the fast repair without having to tow. So here's the other man, Marceau, who's gap to Drayton's stable / extending it each lap, and he's in firm position now if he stays where he is to secure this championship. So he's doing 13s every single lap, Marceau, at the moment, as Drayton is kind of matching him, but it's no use matching because he needs to be catching, and Marceau needs to make an error, which there's absolutely no sign of him doing yet. Grant's, by the way, completely commanding lead of this race. He's 11 seconds, closer to 12 actually at this rate, over Justin Negrete in P2 in class. He's got nobody to worry about. Redford is 3rd in that class, Mauro's 4th. So there's Justin kind of on his own there in P2 in class, and is opening the gap up to the guys behind, as Will Redford has another fastest lap of the race. So he's the fastest man on the circuit, but unfortunately for him, he's 20 seconds behind the next car. So if he can bring that gap down, I'd be impressed.
Wouldn't bet against it. Yeah, 1.5 seconds a lap, and we've got about 12 laps to go. So he'd gain 18. The gap's 16 and a half. Okay, this is possible. Come on, Will. Get on with it, and then you might be able to catch up to your dad potentially, and Mauro as well. Negrete, I think, yeah, too far up the road. This could be a fun one for Will. I'm sure he knows that. He'll have the F3 screen open. Maybe he'll even be using the SDK Gaming live HUD, perhaps, for his advantage, seeing the gaps between the drivers. Of course, it is a terrific bit of software, which also provides our overlay, of course, which you can see. Definitely the best overlay in all of iRacing. You can make it look however you want. SDK Gaming very much dealing with the mathematics, the calculations, the coding in the background. In terms of the CSS, in terms of the appearance, it's all up to the user's choice how it looks, albeit there are plenty of superb templates as well, inspired by a number of real-life series that you can get. So if you go to sdk-gaming.co.uk, you can download the software and even get a 14-day free trial. Wow, Redford was super close to the wall there. That's very much a wall. I'm not sure how much you've driven around here, Jack, but there's a couple of walls around here where you seem to never be able to hit it. You're constantly turning into the wall, and yet every time you somehow avoid. That one's another one. You can't turn in and just hope that the car understeers enough that you just clip the apex perfectly.
Yeah, I think that might actually be the closest I've seen anybody get to that wall without breaking the suspension. So Redford's carrying on. Drayta just nips the fastest lap from him there, and he'll still maybe try and take it off him again, but have to wait and see. He's got nobody around him really, so he's basically just in hot lap mode right now, which is not always a bad thing. And we'll see what he does with 13.6 for Drayta on that lap. We'll see now what it is for Redford, a 13.5. So he is setting fastest laps again, and I think maybe those few hundreds were in that very corner we were talking about where he basically grazed the wall through here. Let's see how close he gets this time on the exit of the roundabout. That wall right there, not as close this time. He was far closer on the previous lap and maybe scared himself a little bit to stay away from it this time.
I think yeah, maybe you felt a little bit, maybe you flinched last time, and as I said, I mean, it's not really a corner, that is it? I mean, there's not much of much point. You maybe save 100th by getting a bit closer to it, but no, Redford just shows how much he is pushing out here. Of course, this is the season finale of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series. But season 4 of this championship could be coming back very soon, 3 weeks in fact, until the next round of, until the next season of this. Will be season 4 of this championship, another 9 meetings following the official series in the F3 car, so it's super easy to kind of get up to speed. You'll have a few warm-up races in the official series on the run-up to the Saturday night race. You can also get a discount on subscription to Apex Racing Academy, which will certainly help you out with your performance. We've got some new rules for next season. We've got a triple race format where we've got 15-minute sprint races, along with a little bit of a reformation as well with these 2 race formats with the reverse grid coming into play. It's going to be really cool. So if you go to apexracingleague.com, you can see the full announcement, you can see the rules document, you can see a rundown of the championship. If you go over to apexracingleague.com, that'll be posted fairly soon. You can also join our Discord as well. There's a link in the description. If you join that Discord, you can see all the announcements for new series as soon as they come out. Just click on that, and yeah, we'll head in, and well, we wait to see if Marteau can win this championship and whether or not he'll return for next season, because right now, Jack, I can't see anything getting in his way.
No, absolutely not. Just as we were talking there, I did see a car shoot down the escape road at turn 1, and I believe it was the car of Jack Reeve, who's just behind Marteau. So here he comes. He's just going to turn 1, and whoa, locks the rears completely. Lucky to keep it out of the wall, and has to do a 3-point turn to get back going again. Just obviously just missed the braking point there, and carries on. Also on that previous lap, Drayta managed to pull 0.4 of a second out of Marteau on that lap, so he is beginning to reel him in, but it's still not quite enough at the halfway point, which is well over the halfway point. 10 minutes to go in this race, and we'll see the lap time now. 13.7 for Marteau in 5, so 0.2 that time, but Drayta got the fastest lap at a 13.4 previously, so he's lapping very quickly, but still not enough to catch him within the laps that are remaining. So Marteau can kind of take it easy, and even if Drayta gets in front of him, it's still not enough. He just needs to maybe just drive a bit conservatively now, not take any risks, because the last thing he needs to do is bin it in the wall with just 10 minutes to go.
I guess the good news for Marteau is that even if he did bin it, if he could just get back to the pits, he'd only drop. He'd still drop to 6th, wouldn't it? And that'd be pretty tight with the points, we believe. So, yeah, he'd rather not crash, but even if he does crash, he might have a bit of a safety net. If he had to tow back to the pits, he'd probably fall to around Beer and Gibbons. So he can't afford to pluck a wheel off and not be able to get back to the pits, really. But he can afford to lose a front wing. That wouldn't be too bad for him. Here is Smith. Is this 4th position? It is 4th position against Jack Reeve. Reeve, of course, had that issue a couple of laps ago down into turn 1, and it means that Smith might gain 1 place. He's going to be 2nd place in the championship regardless, unless something happens to Florian Beer further up the road. But no, looks like this is looking like a likely move right now for Smith. They've also got a pink car just ahead. That's it is Chuck Marrow, who is a lap ahead of these drivers, of course, with damage to that front wing as well, of course. So yeah, he's Reeve and Smith may need to get past it if they want to get past one another. As well, there goes Smith anyway, up into 10th place.
Yep, Aaron and Jack know each other quite well, so I don't think there is ever going to be a fight there. And Aaron goes through, no problems, past Jack Reeve into P10 overall, but not long left in this race now. 22 minutes gone of the 30 minutes allotted, and the gap now up front has stabilised to about 3.5 seconds. So Marto's kind of maybe responded to that. Here's the biggest gainers, just a great say, up 8 places from where he started. Florian Beer is, despite all of that, he's exactly where he started, and that's the best he can kind of hope for. Will Redford is up 7 places because, of course, Will started 13th place, so basically 2nd last. But of the cars that started, he started last, and the Grete started in was a little bit further, just in front of him actually, and has made it up to P4. So great effort from Justin on home turf, of course, the US driver, as well as Chuck and Joseph, who are on, of course, at Long Beach. But have to wait and see now what's going to happen with these last few laps, because ever since that crash in the Pro-Ams, the race has basically settled in to just waiting to crown the champions, and it's not the way we kind of wanted it really, but even so, still interesting. Gap down between Marto and Drayton, now down by another half a second to 3.1, and there is a bit of traffic for Marto coming up, and thankfully they get out of the way for him quickly. 13.666, hopefully that's not a curse for him, and Drayton 13.3, fastest lap again for the Brazilian. I think that's actually the fastest lap of the day so far, 13.3 for Drayton. But I think there should be about 3 or 4 laps to go, and Marto is now officially the champion in waiting.
Yep. It's looking good. 3.3. Really, Drayton needs 3/4 of a second a lap at this point, and Marto just isn't giving it to him. You do wonder, what could have been for Drayton? Qualifying this season has been so important. This is one of very few Apex Racing League series where you don't have reverse grids, and pretty much whoever's got pole has been able to really dominate. I remember when I think Connor Bell got his first race wins of the season back at Okayama. And that's a bit of an extreme circuit, to be fair, very tricky to overtake around there. But once you get that pole, the double race win just becomes possible, because the top 4, Marto, Drayton, Redford and Bell, have been so evenly matched that if you got track position, it was very tricky to overcome one another, as Marto goes a bit faster than Drayton for the first time in a while on that last lap. And that's kind of what Marto has been able to do tonight. But had Drayton just, clutched out that extra few tenths of a second in qualifying, maybe maybe tonight's race could have gone very differently. Albeit, saying that, Jack, Drayton was nowhere near in qualifying, was he? He was behind Rosenkrantz, if I recall correctly. So Marto thoroughly deserved that pole position, and he very much put himself in this position to win.
Yeah, and you also got to think about what would have happened had Conor Bell not black screened down the straight, because that could have also ended very differently. And the Canadian could be fight with Marceau. He was the only one that was kind of with him this whole race, and now Marceau is just waiting to get that all-important white flag. It's not going to be this lap, of course. Still a few more left to go. That's a graze of the wall through the right-hander. Gets a little bit too close for comfort on the way through that corner. They'll cross the line with exactly 26 minutes on the clock. Should give him about 3 more laps in this race. And Marto and Drayton now on the exact same pace. And I've been keeping an eye on how Will Redford's doing in catching up to those guys. He's actually brought the gap down. Tomorrow the gap's now 3 seconds. Remember, that was about over 20 at one point, then it was 16, and now all of a sudden it's about 3 seconds. Just over 3 seconds. It's just in the background, a shot right there is Will Redford. He might not be, he may just get Chuck. It'd be very, very close. But let's have a look at the lap times now. 15.0 versus a 13.6. So he's 1.4 seconds a lap faster. The gap now lies at 3.2. And, well, he's on course to catch him, but it'll be kind of towards the last lap of the race.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great graph. I love consistency. And that is a consistent graph. 1.5 seconds every single lap, pretty much. Maro, I don't think it's been driving badly, to be fair. I mean, he's not much slower than Redford, and of course, he has got that damage to the front wing. It was not worth fixing it because it's only losing him maybe 3 or 4 tenths a lap. But and now he's going to have to let past. Well, he doesn't have to let past Smith, but I think it might be a wise thing to do because Smith will probably make his way past anyway, honestly. This is, Smith's got in deep, and he's made contact. Maro's into the wall, and, well, can Maro at least take the finish line? He hasn't pitted so far, has Maro, so he does have the faster pair spare, so he will be able to finish the season, but that is a shame for him. It does promote Will Redford up to 6th place.
Yeah, so Will had that given to him, but I think Aaron was just caught out a little bit by his overspeed on the way into the corner, so it's unfortunate. I don't think Aaron definitely did not mean that. Let's have a look on board now. So we'll get an idea of what he saw. So he's on the way into the corner. He just gets caught out. So maybe a tiny bit of net cover as well, but he was caught out by the difference in speed, and but Will Redford gaining that place as a result. And Chuck has made it back to the pit lane and comes out in P8, so he is going to make the finish, thankfully. And he's going to fall behind Givens, though, for him. And now Carrick comes out of the pit lane. We'll get to at least finish this season. We of course are awaiting the white flag because it's approaching now. And I think it'll be white flag next time by for Marteau at the head of the field at about 3.1, so 2.9 seconds actually the gap is now, so it's dipped under 3 seconds. Tight actually, whether we're going to get... Should do.
Yeah,
we'll
be one more.
We'll have to wait and see as they come in the final sector. Yeah, it'll be one more. Yeah, definitely one more. It'll be a couple of seconds to spare, but we will get one. And Marceau will lead us across the line for the final lap of this season. And he's only got one more lap to avoid the walls, one more lap to await his confirmation as the AM class champion.
And as part of his prize, he gets a trophy, which is pretty cool. He also gets a choice of SDK Gaming, who we've already mentioned, also Apex Racing Academy subscriptions. Of course, Apex Racing Academy doing setups for this car along with 28 other cars, variety of data packs, featuring group coaching sessions, and also, of course, setups and coaching from some of the best drivers in all of iRacing. And Marteo, I think we'll get a year's subscription, which is worth about 100 quid or so. So that is a nice prize for him. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But very much the white flags out. The time has run out, and there is just one man at the front. He came into this meeting with a 5-point lead. It was far from decisive in a topsy-turvy season. But after 10 meetings, over 20 races across, he is going to approach the line first. He's going to score the points that he needs. And Kai Thiago Marto, we are almost certain, has won Season 3 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. It is a terrific result for him. Drake finishes in second. Rosencrantz with another great result. Redford's going to overtake Negretti right at the close. I think may have run out of fuel on the run to the line, but I think we're going to have to focus our cameras on Florian Beer because I think he's got pretty much a lap of honour here. He also didn't come into this round confident by any means. In fact, he was behind heading into Watkins Glen, but he has driven very well, at least at Watkins Glen. He was very unlucky tonight. I'm sure he wouldn't have guessed these results would be good enough for the title. But Jack, it looks like it is. It looks like he's going to extend his lead and claim his first ever Apex Racing League title.
Yeah, and he rounds the final corner, and despite everything, Florian Beer, he weaves back and forth. He knows that the result is enough. Florian Beer is the champion of the AMCAR. Oh, Negrita has not made the line. Look at that. You can see that season. Oh, he has actually stopped just after the line. There he is on the inside of the corner. The checkered flag symbol has come out beside his name, and he has just about managed to limp across the line and make the finish of this season. So thankfully for him, he's managed to do that. And unfortunately did lose second place in class as a result of that. But that gave it to Mark Redford, who gets a P2 in class, and also, of course, finishes in front of Will, who made a great recovery to P5. Considering everything that happened, great drive from Will Redford to get that one. And here's your official results then. Thiago Marto wins the race. He does the double at Long Beach and wins the championship in the pro category. Paulo Drayton did everything he could. It was not enough. Chris Rosenkrantz, a great performance today, and he wins the AM class. Mark Redford in second, just in front of his son Will. Justin Negrita makes it across the line with zero fuel in the car. And Florian Beer, with that result, manages to clinch the title in the AM class. Joseph Givens, then Chuck Morrow. Aaron Smith, how unlucky was he today with that incident with Rickard Boberg. Jack Reeve, then Boberg, and non-finishers Alexander Ruggenbuck. And Connor Bell, what could have been for Connor Bell tonight after his hardware problems, and did not take the start of the second race. And unfortunately, that was the end of his championship hopes. But that also kind of brings an end to the series. But of course, we're going to have a quick look to see who we've got standing by to have a chat with us here on Racing TV. Let's just have a look and see who's there. And we have Connor Bell standing by. I think I'd like to have a word with Connor, considering everything that happened. So he's been with us every week. I think it's only right that we with Connor Bell, who joins us in the commentary box now. Connor, it all looked really promising in race number one. You're all over the back of Marceau, and then the hardware problem. Of course, you can talk us through it, but that was it for your championship.
Yeah, I didn't come into today with any practice at all, really. So I had to use up those 2 hours to practice. But in those 2 hours of practice before the actual event, I was having hardware issues, so I didn't actually get any practice in. But qualifying went well for me with P2 ahead of Dreda. And once that accident happened behind me on lap 1, I knew I just had to stick with Marto. So I was just sort of sitting behind him for the first half of the first race. And then I decided to push. That was probably around a lap before I had that hardware issue. And yeah, my screen just went black, so nothing I could really do about that one. Went straight into the wall. I couldn't really control anything. So yeah.
Yeah, a really unfortunate instance there for yourself. But, I mean, it was a great championship nonetheless. You came into the race with an outside chance, and I think had you passed Marteau, you could have maybe brought it to the last race. But even so, I think it's been a really encouraging season from yourself. You've managed to get third in the standings, of course, as a result of that. But how have you enjoyed the season overall?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on a great season. This was my first ever league, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was really well put together. The top 4 were super close all season, coming down to the final round. I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I think I definitely had the pace to pass Marteau and hold them off. If I would have won both races, I would have been the pro division champion. But then again, nothing I can do about it. But yeah, thanks for the great season, and definitely looking forward to the next one.
We hope to see you back, Connor, in the next season. As always, thanks for hopping in for a chat with us. Commiserations on the hardware issue, and we look forward to having you next season.
Yep, thanks guys.
So Connor Bell, he knew what he had to do, and unfortunately it didn't go quite well for him. There's absolutely loads of people standing by Sam. I don't think we're going to get through all of them tonight, but plenty of people wanted to round up their seasons.
Yes, it's very good. Often we get this where Charles wants to have a chat with us at the end of the season. Maybe so that they can insult us and they don't have to deal with us next week, perhaps. I don't know what it is, but certainly have got plenty of drivers. I think the obvious choice, though, to talk with next is our amateur class champion, at least provisionally. You know, there could be penalties and whatever. We've been hit by that in the past in Apex Racing League. However, I believe by 9 points, Mr. Florian Beer, I believe you are the amateur class champion for this season. Congratulations.
Hi Sam, thank you very much. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know yet because yeah, it was, let's say, a mess. Both races. The first one more for me, and the other one rather for Aaron. Unfortunately, we got collected in both races. But if it worked out in the end, it would be really great.
What was going through your head in race 1 when you got taken out? Because it seemed like you had no control over it. Was there? Were you particularly angry in the moment? I mean, how did you feel?
First place, of course, I was not that happy about it, but in the end, you'll never know. And I had a chat with Aaron before the race, and I told him it's a bit of a lottery, so you never know. And yeah. Unfortunately, the odds were not in my favor in the first race, and I got away a little bit better in the second one. But yeah, you have to keep your head up and try to make it to the end, because both races are pretty long on that circuit.
Absolutely. This season's been pretty epic for that amateur championship title. I mean, have you ever been involved in a championship that close? Because it's just ebbed and flowed over every single round.
No, I haven't. Actually, the only championship I took part in was together with Matthias in the ARL GT Team Championship, and there it wasn't that close for us, at least, because we were not in the top running. But this was really, it was tense, and it was very close until, or after, I think, the 4th or the 5th meeting, and it was cool, it was fun.
And, of course, a word on Matthias.
Yeah.
I don't believe, well, I'm almost certain he's never won a championship before. He may have got a top 3 in the past. You're going to be able to gloat about this for years to come, surely. You must be delighted.
Yeah, of course. We'll see. Didn't he win a championship? I think he won the amateur category for the GT4 Super Series, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think so. In the, yeah, I remember now the German Austin Powers. I think he won
Yeah.
that car, of course. So that's a good point. Well, at least you're level now. You know, at the dining room table for family dinners, you can both bring your trophies along and gloat about it. So you know, at least that's brought some balance there. Congratulations, Florian, on what we believe is the title. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, first of all of you, the whole staff is doing an amazing job, and I really like watching other series as well. And please go on and keep on with that good service. And of course, my family, my parents were watching every race, and even if I was not in the picture for all of that, so I hope we put on a great show.
Absolutely did, Florian. Thanks for having a chat with us, and we hope to see you back very soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Florian Beer, there, your championship winner. Yeah, I do think that brings him level with Mateus, who, yeah, I think won in the GT4 championship, so or the GT Trophy season 1. So no, 1 win apiece there for the brothers. I think that might be the first time as well that brothers have won championships. I don't think the Atkinsons have done it, so that is impressive from them. Jack, who would you like to talk to next?
Before we head into the next one, you guys wouldn't have heard it at home, but we heard a massive amount of Italian swearing from Marco, because I think Austria just scored against Italy. So Marco is not in a good mood, and we're going to just quickly move on to another interview so he doesn't start ranting to us in our ear. But Aaron Smith now joins us in the commentary box, and Aaron, of course, he came in to this race behind in the standings, but not by much. It's about 5 points, but it was a bit of a disaster, I suppose, getting caught up in an unlucky incident, and the championship was gone in a flash.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, it's annoying because you know there wasn't anything you could do. I mean, Ricard just hit the wall in front of me, and I didn't really have anywhere else to go, and I mean, part of me wishes I didn't tow, because it is about 2 minutes around here, so that did take up a lot of time. But, I mean, nonetheless, I still had a lot of fun this season. I can't be really too annoyed with P2, to be fair. Sure, winning is nice, but, you know, there's a lot more to racing than just winning, so...
Yeah, I think that's a good sentiment to carry forward, but... Yeah, it was unlucky in a way, but I mean, hindsight is 20/20. Had you not tow, Florian decided not to tow, and that ended up getting in the championship. So, plenty of things to take forward. But we've asked all the drivers this, of course, but we're going to keep asking you: how has the season been for you? How have you enjoyed the season? Of course, we're heading into a new one in about 3 weeks' time. But how's this one been for you?
It's been very enjoyable. Although I'm not the hugest fan of the Formula 3 car anymore, it is still a lot of fun to drive, especially when you have a field packed full of drivers who know what they're doing. And especially on iRacing, the tracks and car combination, it just feels so good. And I think I will definitely be returning for Season 4. I've had a lot of fun. Every single time I come into this series, whether it was the first season or this season, I always end up having a ton of fun and can't wait for Season 4.
Well, that's excellent. We've had most drivers are going to be returning, but yeah, Aaron, before we let you head off, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thank you to or give a shout out to while we're still on air?
First off, obviously, I want to say a big thank you to Apex. You guys, you've put on an amazing show, not only in this series, but in a lot of other series. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys provide, you know, a good service for everyone, for the people watching and for us drivers. I just want to thank also my family and my friends for just supporting me throughout it all. It means a lot. And also Florian for winning the championship. He did what he needed to do today and came out on top because of that.
Well, Aaron, it was an unlucky day, but very, very close in the end. We'll hopefully see you back in Season 4. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Aaron Smith there, but very important note, the goal is ruled offside, so all is well in the commentary box, Sam.
It is. Thank goodness neither of us are Austrian, otherwise we'd probably be getting a lot of abuse right now. That pretty much brings us our interviews to an end because we're pretty much on the edge of the broadcast. But Jack, it's been an awesome season. We've covered, I think I've covered 9 of the 10 rounds. I think you've covered 7 or 8 of them yourself. Some amazing racing throughout the season, and yeah, just some amazing championship battles. I mean, sometimes these end of seasons, they can kind of wind down a bit, but I honestly can't remember such a topsy-turvy championship and such a competitive fight as well for each. It wasn't a case of one driver was faster than the others, but they didn't turn up for some rounds or they had some problems. Every driver was so close to one another in performance. Every driver had some bad luck, every driver had some good luck, and it was just amazing to witness.
It really was, and I think the changes going into the next season is going to make it even more topsy-turvy with the reverse grid and the new points. It's going to be really intriguing to watch, and even more on-track action as well. But really looking forward to that, and I think it's going to be even more competitive because I think the goal is to have guys returning because of how good the racing is, and I think everyone who's been chatting to us tonight has expressed that they want to come back to race in this series, which is always great to hear, and it's a testament to all the work behind the scenes by everyone in Apex Racing League. They do a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes to get everything off the ground. There's multiple leagues being run at the same time as well, so not just the F3 series, you've got everything else that's going on at the same time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next series. It's in 3 weeks' time, of course, so do check it out if you want to get involved, because it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, and sign-ups should be open for that in the next 24 hours, certainly. The sign-up info will be on apexracingleague.com, where you can also find sign-up details for all of our other series, Mazdas, GT3s, Porsche Cups. We may or may not have a NASCAR league lined up soon. We've also just announced the new season of the prototypes, which will be featuring the Radical SR8 for next season, and we've also got the GTEs as well on a Sunday. Some terrific prizes in a few of those leagues as well. The best place for you to go though is our Discord, because that's where all our announcements are posted. It's where, if you're a driver, it's the absolute must place to be, where you can find all the links, and there's a link to that in the description below to the Apex Racing League Discord. So hop in there. You can just sit in there and wait for some announcements to be posted, because we've got lots of new seasons coming up on Apex Racing League to come up. There's been quite a few commentators, I think, across the season, so I'm going to forget some, but I think Austin Knight, thanks to him for helping us out in the commentary box. And a few others. My mind's gone blank. I think Sam Kumo's done the production before. I think even Mark Tranter did a production earlier on in the season. Lots of people from Apex Racing TV. Thanks to all of them for producing these 10 broadcasts we have produced across the season. Of course, big thanks to Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming and Apex Racing Academy for sponsoring the championship and also providing prizes for the championship winners and the top places in the drivers and the teams championships. So huge thanks to them, and thanks to you as well for watching this season. We thoroughly hope that you have entertained yourself across the 10 meetings. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Jack Canan and from Marco Barbanir, we have got Kai Tiago Marte as our overall champion. We've got Florian Beer as our amateur champion. We'll see you back for season 4 in 3 weeks' time. See you then.